Hello, my fine friends. Welcome to another Retro RHLSTP. This week we are talking to Humphrey Ker, the guy behind Welcome to Wrexham and Penny Dreadfuls and way, way more stuff. Comedian and football club. I don't know what he is exactly. Secretary. Something high up in Wrexham. They're doing okay. Will they go up this season? Maybe in the playoffs. We'll find out. Anyway, lovely to talk to Humphrey. These Retro RHLSTPs from a few years ago are going back out because A, you may have missed them in the first place and they're worth listening to, or B, you can watch the entire videos for these on YouTube if you're not on YouTube already. And it's free. Usually these are just for badgers, but now we're giving them to you all. If you want to pay us back for that, come and see a live show, richardherring.com/RHLSTP, or become a badger, gofasterstripe.com/badges, and you'll get all the videos we've ever done, plus the backstage ones, plus bonus podcasts if you pay a little bit more, plus advance warning of the guests, plus a badge, all sorts of stuff. There's so many benefits to this, I always forget something if I try and list it now. Go and check it out. It would really help us, and all the money goes into making more projects for you to enjoy. So if you can afford to do that, it's £5, £8 a month, whatever you want to pay, then do so. If you can't afford that, which is fully understandable, please carry on enjoying all of the stuff we put out for nothing. That's why we do it for free, so you don't have to pay if you don't want to. But if you can and want to, that's lovely too. Anyway, sit back, relax, and enjoy the wonderful Humphrey Ker. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Leicester Square Theatre. Please welcome a man who's actually taking a holiday next week, but only from the theatre. The podcast will still come out. It's Richard Herring! Thank you very much. Welcome back. Welcome. For the first time, you're much better than last week's audience. They weren't good. Welcome to Rich Herring's Leicester Square Theatre podcast. I was talking to Jeremy Cunt today, who lives his whole life in mortal fear of someone accidentally calling him Jeremy Hunt. That is a fucking class joke. That's the best joke I've done. That's the best joke I've done in this section for a while. He calls it RHLSTP, so will there even be a chance for the Exchequer by the time this goes? That's how much things can change. December the 7th, this is going out. Imagine that future. Good. Anyway, today, Jeremy Hunt has just taken over as Chancellor of the Exchequer. As we're recording, he was in the Houses of Commons listing all the money saved by not going ahead with the measures that Tories had proposed a couple of weeks ago. And I've saved £100 billion by not funding the space mission to Mars that I said I was going to do. So, we can all save money, can't we? We can all save money by promising something and then not doing it. I thought it was a little bit hypocritical. I am off next week on holiday. It's a family holiday, so it's no kind of holiday for a parent. And we're going to Centre Parks. So I'm just hoping no one important dies in the next 7 days. Or I'm going to be a prisoner. You're a fucking prisoner in Centre Parks. I don't know if you've been to Centre. Have you been to Centre Parks? No, don't go. And don't go on your own. It'll look strange. It's not the nicest place, even when you're allowed to walk around there. You feel sort of like you're in you feel like the prisoner. Remember the prisoner? No, of course you don't. You're young. But I'm looking forward to going away. We'll be back at the Leicester Square Theatre on the 7th of November with Rich Hall and hopefully somebody else. We'll find out. Oh, no, sorry, just him on his own. Keep on slipping up. Do come and see us again. We've got some fantastic guests coming up. Go to richherring.com/gigs and you can find out. There's loads of these coming up in 2023 as well, as long as I'm still alive in 2023, which I intend to be. Look, my guest this week is probably best known as the co-anchor of log.tv. That's why we're all here. He was also an AD1 member in St Trinian's 2, The Legend of Fritton's Gold. That's a film. Yeah, we got a film star here today. Will you please welcome the incredible Humphrey Ker, ladies and gentlemen. Here he comes. Look, here he is from St Trinian's 2. The Legend of
Fritton's Gold. Yes, yeah. We all remember it well.
Yeah. What does AD1 mean? AD1
I was a baddie, so that was one of them. Well, basically every acting job I ever got in the UK before I fled to other climes was based on me being very tall.
Okay.
There was a sequence in that film where two small girls get on one gets on the other's shoulder, and they're wearing a robe and infiltrating a sort of secretive underground Illuminati type thing. And I was basically a henchman, and I got headbutted in the testicles by the lower half of the duo. So they truly were like, we need a jumbo. Do you have a jumbo?
Yeah.
And my agent's like, yes, this one will do. I had one line, and then I had to go like, ooh, and sort of cross my eyes. So it was very, I'm not even sure I did a very good job of that. Okay. But I met Gemma Arterton, and she was very nice, and so I counted it as a win.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And what was log.tv with Rufus Hound?
With Rufus Hound, with TV's Rufus Hound. That was a sort of speculative. It was one of many attempts to do like, what if we did a British Daily Show by some production company or other. I truly had forgotten I'd ever done it until just then when you said it. You said Anchor, and I was like, Anchor, and I was like, oh yeah, I did that thing. That was fun because working with Rufus was great fun.
Yeah.
But it was very short lived. We shot a couple of. I think it was. I have a vague recollection. It was all in front of blue screen, and they were going to do lots of sort of fun, exciting CGI things, and I don't know if they ever got to that stage. I think maybe they just watched the footage and were like, well, I don't know, there's no CGI in the world that can save this.
There was a lot of shows like that, so I'm surprised that I wasn't also in there somewhere.
You might well have been.
Yeah,
I forgot about it, so you might have done as well.
In the 2000s, there were a few that I ended up doing that I don't think anyone ever saw. If they even went out, who knows? Who knows if they?
Oh, this never went out.
Never went out.
That I'm very confident.
Okay.
Yeah, it was never broadcast or streamed or anything. I think it was very speculative.
I mean, log.tv is like the worst possible.
And by the way,
name.
you may be wrong, but
Yeah.
you may not know this, but log.tv, we were reliably informed, was going to replace Facebook. It was like, this is going to be everyone's one. More is coming back to me as you talk about it. They were like, this is going to be everyone's one-stop shop for news, comedy, entertainment. People will watch movies on log.tv. They won't go to the cinema anymore. They will log into log.tv on their home computers.
Wow.
And I don't know if maybe I don't know if anyone here has logged into log.tv recently, but I don't know that it's. In fact, I'm going to Google that. As soon as I leave, I'm going to see if you can get onto log.tv.
People will be trying right now in the audience to see if they can. And maybe it's turned into a huge thing.
What if it's got 50 million views and I'm owed hundreds of thousands of pounds that I'm unaware of?
That would be wonderful. Hey, look, I mean, there's a lot to talk to you about. I started watching Welcome to Wrexham last night. And
Yes.
I saw the first episode was a half an hour long. I thought maybe I can get through the whole
Like
series
a munch a couple.
before I watch a couple. But I've watched 14 episodes. I haven't quite got to the end, but it's so good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you want to? Well, explain what it is for people who haven't seen it. It's on Disney. If
Disney
you're
Plus
in,
over
Disney
here.
Plus if you're in
Yes.
the UK.
Yeah, so Welcome to Wrexham is a documentary about the unlikely takeover of a fifth-tier North Walian football club by two famous Hollywood men, Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds. And sporadically, you see me, their hapless friend,
Yes.
who is also involved and who kind of slightly got the ball rolling on the whole thing by introducing Rob to the concept of football, and he rewarded me by making me executive director of the football club. Right. So the idea is that you could get onto log.tv and watch this football team in due course. That'll be your one-stop shop for all Wrexham news. But in the meantime, whilst Dog TV is still spooling up, a documentary was made about the whole process because it's been very weird and wonderful, and we've been welcomed very, very effusively and kindly by the people of Wrexham, and it has been just bizarre last 2 years of my life that I've been doing this thing.
It's a lovely show. It's a heartwarming show. It's a really interesting show. It sort of doesn't pull its punches either as well. It's like, because it is these two big American superstars coming to where it seems like a weird thing to do. That people are a little bit suspicious that it might be a PR stunt.
Yeah,
we're not quite sure whether maybe Ryan Reynolds is as quiet as behind it to begin with at the beginning. And it goes on this journey, but also we see a lot of non-Hollywood stuff. We see a lot about Wrexham,
which is much more interesting. Yeah. To be completely frank, I mean, the guys have been this incredible engine for the whole thing, and none of it could happen without them. But the thing that's special is the thing that was already there, which was a football club that's completely at the centre of the heart of the town, and is so loved, but was kind of, through no fault of anyone, was slowly kind of declining. It was owned and operated by the fans, and they've done an amazing job of doing that. But the resources you need to thrive and survive as a football club these days, even in the 5th tier, were too much for a group of people to have a whip round at the end of the season, which was essentially how they would do these build the budget initiatives, and fans would do all sorts of amazing and crazy things and walk from John O'Groats to Land's End and put the money into the budget and things like that. So I'm quite jet lagged. I've lost the thread. I've no idea where I started with that, but it's great.
But it is, what I find interesting amongst many things in it is it's like some rich people. I mean, Ryan Reynolds obviously has made a lot of money as an actor.
He's done well.
And is a businessman, and Rob as well as a fan from Always Sunny in
Philadelphia.
Is that where you
I met Rob through, my wife wrote on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia has written on It's Always Sunny since season 13, which is, they're now on to season 16 or something like that, but they do it quite sporadically. So for the last 5 years or so. And then she created a show called Mythic Quest on Apple TV with Rob, and very sensibly and studiously avoided hiring me to that show in any capacity. But unfortunately for her, they realised on day one of the writer's room, genuine day one, they were like, right, this is a show all about video games and a video game studio, and particularly a World of Warcraft sort of analogy. And they were like, right, who plays video games? To the 10 writers in the room, and 2 people put their hands up. And they're like, and which one of you guys play World of Warcraft, right? And they were like, no. And my wife was like, oh, God, I know one big shiftless loser that hangs around my house that spends quite a lot of time playing World of Warcraft, or did once. So I got sort of summoned into the office, and initially really was like, come in, bring your laptop, we'll plug it in, show everybody how the game works, and then fuck off. And I was like, okay, fine. And I came in, and of course, then there were loads of questions like, well, what's it? How does this bit work? And how does this bit work? And I came back 3 days in a row, and then eventually they were like, oh, just join the staff. So I got hired as a writer on that, and that's where I met Rob, and that's where Rob became aware of my obsession with football, because I would watch it during our lunch breaks, because I'm a real sociable guy. I would often sit at one end of the table with my laptop open with a Liverpool game on. If it was an 8 p.m. kickoff, that would correspond with our lunch. And he would always kind of make fun of me for watching it. And during this first lockdown, or first time LA went into lockdown, March 2020, we were all exchanging, we all thought we were having 2 weeks off. It was great. It was going to be really fun. We were just going to stay at home, get paid to fuck around and do nothing. And my recommendation to the group thread was the Sunderland Till I Die documentary, which is on Netflix, which is amazing, which does such a brilliant job of explaining, of kind of showing the weird, semi-religious, very cruel nature of being a football fan. Yeah. And he watched that, and it was like a light bulb went. He was just like, oh, I get it now. I understand why you care about this thing where there are so few points. And I was like, it's goals, you dud. We don't call them points. And yeah, his weird response to that, because Rob is a maniac, was like, we should buy a soccer team. And I was like, oh yeah, that sounds wicked. You bet. And then it didn't go away. He didn't stop saying that for 2 or 3 days. And then he was like, I found a brokerage that buys football teams. Which team are we going to buy? So I started looking around and made a very unscientific matrix of football teams and the pros and cons of them. And Wrexham came out on top. And then he bought a GD football team. And here I am.
It's nuts. But I think what I was going to say is, when people make so much money that they've got more money than they can ever spend.
Yeah.
Right? Most of them seem to then just try and make more and more money and become billionaires.
Yes.
I don't understand why more people don't do things that are A, a bit crazy, or B, go, hey, if we do this, hey, we might make some more money, but B, will really help out all these people.
It's so fun. It's so rewarding. I completely agree. It's like, the outlay that they have made, yes, they're put lots of money into the club, and they're still putting lots of money into the club. But they also, what they get out of it is just you can't get from anything else, because you are bringing so much joy and positivity and excitement to a town that historically has been kicked in the nuts over and over again, because it was a big coal mining town and a big steel town and a big brewing town and a big traditional market town, and all of those things kind of went away and were not really replaced very quickly, and so it went through kind of a bit of a rough patch, and the football team was the thing that everybody loved, and that started sort of to decline slightly because of some very unscrupulous previous owners and things, and the fans took it over and saved it. But it's like, you could, yes, rather than, why are you trying to build a rocket to blast your giant sarcophagus into space to do nothing out there that's useful, when for that money can be spent in a way that it will just end this, is so rewarding. The thing about this has been so amazing for me, and I'm many magnitudes less than the two guys in terms of my contribution to the whole thing, is just how like lovely and like kind and generous and excited people have been that we're there. It's very nice.
Well, it's really, that's what's terrific about it, and I think it's interesting that it doesn't kind of dodge the issue. Some people are suspicious of them, and maybe rightly so to begin with, or at least you can understand why, that it might be a joke or it might be,
of course,
a passing fancy. But both of them become obsessed with it. But also you see these. I really like the episode. I mean, there's a great episode that's just about how great Wales is, which is fabulous. And that's it's not the same. You can just change the format of this show, and so there's just
they're
sometimes
brilliant.
It's sketches, and sometimes
they're brilliant communicators and brilliant. They're both incredibly talented people, and they are funny and personable and interesting and interested and all those things in real life. And so their approach to it is quite unusual. They are like they're less. They don't take themselves very seriously. They take the club very seriously and like what we do around there. But they make a lot of fun of themselves, and they play jokes on each other, and they do all these things that, football is very serious. The people that are into it, we take it really seriously. We care about it, and sometimes it could be a bit stuffy for that reason. It could be a little bit staid and stale, and no one wants to say. You watch every post-match interview, everyone says the same 5 boring things because they don't want to say anything controversial. Whereas they are like, let's do weird, wild, and wonderful things, which is very fun. And I think the people of Wrexham have been really enjoying that as well.
So for you, from your point of view, from this watching Liverpool, which obviously now you're more into Wrexham than Liverpool.
Yes.
But how weird is that to go from this writer's room where you're watching football to then being the executive director of a football club?
It's completely absurd. I mean, like, the whole thing is an absurd aspect of this in a way. I mean, we hired people who knew what they were doing and put them in charge.
Yeah.
And nominally those people answer to me, but often I characterize it as I'm like, what should I be telling you to do now? And they say, tell me to do this. And I'm like, yeah, do that, please. But do that plus this, so it sort of vaguely feels like I have, I've contributed. I think one of the keys to our Touchwood success, because it has been pretty successful so far, has been understanding we don't know what we're doing, and making sure that everyone we talk to understands that as well, and so that we're not interfering or being like, you should play this guy, or you should do that. Like, why are we playing this system? Like, much more fun if you did this. We're like, you guys have spent years in the game, you do it. You do what you want to do.
Well, it's not, having a bit of money, you've pulled in a manager who would have been from a higher league, and a couple of star players who were from higher league. I mean, that's quite interesting how you got those guys, that they're prepared to, because the National League is a big
glamorous.
step down.
Yeah,
it's a big step down. So it's League 5, but as you say, and as a York City supporter, I know all about.
Yeah, there's a very real chance that the two of us, as I said on Twitter, will come to blows tonight as supporters of two different teams in the National League, two alpha males, like two beefcakes on the stage. There's a chance we'll have to be separated by the start.
I'm very much hoping we'll meet in the playoff final.
No thanks. No. We would like to be just flat out champions. Just get out of the league, and York can win it. That would be great. I'm Dave Reed, who I worked with for many years, one of my best friends. He's a York City fan, lives just around the corner from the stadium. So I'm all for York City doing great, apart from on December the 9th. I think we play you, and whenever it is, sometime in March we play.
But it's, as you say a lot in the show, it's very difficult to get out of this league. Once you're in it, and York have been in it, got out of it once and went back down again, and then went down even further, and it's even harder to get out the next one. But it is this fight, and there's a lot of good clubs in that league, and there's some bad clubs in that league, but there's some very good ones, and often they go up and do pretty well. So it's
I mean, our hope is if we can get out of the National League, it's just got a little. There's a small. I did a strange symbol there. There's a small gap for you to get out of the National League. Champions get promoted, and then 2 through 7 play each other in a playoff system, and the winner of that goes up. So, spoiler alert, last year, it's sort of all out now, the documentary, we finished second by a Nats whisker to Stockport County. And then got beaten in the playoffs by Grimsby, who'd finished like 13 points behind us. So, the horrible lottery of knockout football we are desperately trying to avoid this year. Yeah. So I'm sacrificing chickens and bribing officials and all sorts of not bribing officials. I've made that very clear. But very, very clear. Cut that bit. We'll cut that. Yeah, great. It's staying in, isn't it? Yeah. I know how you swines in the media work, because I am a media swine. But yes, we are crossing our fingers, but also trying to cross the T's and dot the I's and make sure we've got everything we need to try and escape. Because Wrexham have been down, we're the longest serving members of the National League. We've been down now, this is our 15th season down here, I think. Yeah. I know there's at least one Wrexham fan here. Andy, it's 15 years, right? Yeah. You hear the grim voice of a man who spent too long in the National League.
It's a difficult place to be. There's a couple of moments I want to talk to you about your own appearance in this show. Now, when you first go to meet the players,
yes,
you give a little speech.
Yes,
and they all
call it. I mumble in front of them for a short period of time. Yes,
and then you leave the room, and before the doors shut, all of the players
a gale of laughter. Yeah, yes. Which people are like, oh, well, that's interesting. I wonder if they've sort of cut that together in such a way to make it like that. I went, nope. That was the sound of that laughter was ringing in my ears. As someone who professionally tried to get people to laugh for a long time, it's weird how galling it can be when they're laughing at you at the wrong time. But no, I mean, listen, I think it was totally understandable on their part. It was so weird for them, but because suddenly into their midst was thrust a stranger, which football is quite a closed shop, and they all know. Lots of people know each other. You discover every game we play. Probably half our players know half the other team. They've played with them somewhere or something. Yeah. Everybody kind of knows each other, and I really am a total outsider. And I know that probably they had Googled me and again been like, "What's log.tv? What is this thing? Where's he come from?" And yes, I was a stranger in a strange land, and I also got wildly nervous because, as I said on the documentary, it was like being back at school in front of like the cool guys, and I was like a theatre dork, and I was there to be like, I'm in charge of your football team, and I leant on the light switch and switched the lights off at the start, which again not planned, and just I don't know. Looking back at it, I'm like, why didn't I put my bag down? I was like holding my bag, and I also had very long hair at that stage because it was middle of lockdown, really. Yeah. I mean, that was a period. That was during a point where we were playing games behind closed doors, and I thought my hair was cool. It wasn't cool. I looked bedraggled. I looked like sort of the new Gandalf on the new bad Lord of the Rings show. It just looked like I'd fallen out of a meteor. So they very understandably were like, "Who the fuck is this guy? And why is he here?" I think it's
quite an affectionate. It's a laughter of like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah,
so they're not laughing. They're not laughing at you.
No, they really weren't. I really don't think they were particularly. They were more laughing at the situation. They were all very nice, and Dean, the manager, as well, was very welcoming to me, and everybody was sort of was much kinder than that sequence makes it perhaps look like.
I think it comes across. I think there's a warmth to this show, and that all comes across. It's the tension of this is a weird situation, and then we can. Oh, it's just a laughter of, okay, that's finished.
Well, I mean, truly, you are coming in also as like a potential sort of angel of death in a way, because it's like, this is how the clubs work for a long time. We're all part of this system. They all know we're going to be investing money and doing all sorts of things, and that's going to have different outcomes for different people in that room. So I think, it may have been like a slight thing of relief that I wasn't like, I'm taking over control of the team. Because we were also, at that stage, still very much having to try and prove to people on the ground that we weren't maniacs and that we were doing it for real and that we were going to be around for a while. Yeah. So I think it was all the combination of those factors.
I think so. And then my other favourite appearance of you in so far, in the first 14 episodes.
Yes, I've got a horrible feeling.
There's a whole scene where you're auditioning for
Obi-Wan
Kenobi to be in the
in the show, not to be Obi-Wan Kenobi. Unfortunately, I was not able to edge out what's his name. Ewan McGregor. Yes, there's just a horrible sequence of me filming a self-tape in the garden of the place I was staying at in Wrexham, which, thank God, was much longer, and they also included at the end my actual tape to camp, like me doing the lines. Yeah. And I basically was like, please don't do this to me. I will quit. I'll quit if you do this. And they were like, oh, fine. So they dropped that bit. But I mean, you're an actor.
That just makes it look more insane because it looks like you're auditioning just to
walk around. I know, but like that bit was daft, and at least I'm like, oh no, this is a bit stupid. Whereas the bit of me earnestly speaking into the camera, trying to be a Star Wars man, I think any actor, the idea of having a failed self-tape broadcast to the world is a nightmare. Unless you crushed it and they just gave it to someone else. But
Didn't you feel like what I found extra funny about it is that you're filming yourself doing a self-tape being filmed by professional photographers. You could have just said, can you film my self-tape for me rather than me using a camera?
They lent me a tiny camera. I was definitely set up brutally for it. And I definitely, the bits they filmed, I banished them from the room when I was doing the actual tape. But then when I came out, they're all just sort of hovering. This giant camera crew sort of waiting to catch my reaction. And of course, I did about 56 takes trying to get this incredibly straightforward thing done. Because I was like, I know they're there and they're going to hear me, and this is all very embarrassing. So I think I probably would have been in Star Wars if it hadn't been for them.
But it's sort of so funny to see. I mean, I've done a few tapes, and I don't do that much acting, but occasionally I've done some. And it's such a difficult thing to do, even if no people aren't watching you.
I hate it.
But it's sort of so funny to see you breaking off from your job as a football executive to see if you can get a job marching along.
Yes, yeah. It was, yes, I think I worked out that it was the part that Rupert Friend ended up doing. He was like the Grand Inquisitor. Yeah. But the problem is on those things, and again, I'm sure you're probably aware of this, like when it's a really big fancy project like that, they won't tell you what you're doing. No. You know, they're like, okay, so it's a part, you're a military man, but that's all you're going to know, and here's a scene from a completely different movie. Yeah. And so I played it as I tried to go. I was like, they wanted someone tall again, similar to the plum headbutting fest of Fritton's Gold. There was must be over 6'6". So I was like, well, this has got to be an alien. This has got to be a big alien type thing. And the aliens are always goodies. So I played it tried to be sort of noble alien man. And then I watched the thing, and he's like a sort of horrible, nasty monster man. It's like, well, they probably watched this tape and were like, well, no, nowhere close. This guy's not a baddie. I was like, well, you didn't tell me to be a baddie. So you're just completely rolling the dice on those. Yeah. I mean, it's either what they want or not.
It's a weird life as an actor. And so what was, because you've done a lot in the UK. You'd been in the Penny Dreadfuls, people might know you from, and did you win the Perrier?
I did. I got Best Newcomer at Edinburgh Comedy Award in 2011 for a show called Dimmock Watson Nazi Smasher, which was very lightly based on my grandfather who smashed Nazis during the war. That was one of his many jobs in the war. He got parachuted into Romania to blow up an oil refinery and was betrayed and escaped. It was all very dramatic. And I did a very stupid version of that at the Edinburgh Festival where I played a bunch of different characters and did a bunch of, in retrospect, probably quite offensive Romanian accents. That was my lot over here.
And so, what sent you? What was the move to America? Was it just seeing what was going on?
Well, that show, I got an agent in Hollywood off the back of that show because they came and saw the show and they were like, "You must come out to Hollywood. It's terrific." And I could not get arrested in this town unless it was for being headbutted in the ball. We need someone really tall, and also. A thing that people that I've realized since moving to America is being a very tall actor is very hard over here because you are usually shooting on location and they can't put the camera back far enough to get you in shot. I mean, that's not even a joke. I did a couple of things that I worked on where they would be like, okay. And they always move the camera back and focus, put the lens in and stuff, and they can get you in. It all works fine. And they would just come up against a wall and be like, oh shit, and then it becomes the whole thing and no one likes it very much. And then when I moved to America, you shoot everything on sound stages and they can make the wall disappear. Yes. So they just fly it up into the sky and the camera goes back further and they're like, okay, got you, it's all fine. So I worked so much more in America than I ever did here. I think partly because I was tall, partly because I was probably quite shit as an actor at that stage. I got a bit better as I got older. But yeah, my thing I've said for a long time was that when I was living here and working as an actor, a sort of comedy actor in London, they would make a project that was called Tall Posh Boys Reach Things Off Shelves. And I'd be like, my time has come. And then I couldn't get an audition for it. And I'd be like, God damn, this is impossible. They were like, well, we've got David Mitchell, we'll just put him on a box. And then he'll be tall and posh and it'll be fine. So I kind of was getting a little bit, I was really starting to be like, maybe I am going to be a history teacher or something like that, because history was a big passion of mine. But I broke up with my girlfriend who I was living with, due to not due to wall or history teacher reasons, and I was suddenly single, and I'd done a run of that show at the Soho Theatre for I'd done 4 or 5 weeks there, so I had a bit of cash for once. I was like, I'm gonna get a stick and bindle, and I'm gonna go to America for a couple of months. I've got an agent out there, and I was very lucky. I arrived. I did one pilot season. I got cast on a show immediately. I did a pilot, and that got me a visa, and it also got me a big chunk of American dollars. That meant that I was like, oh, I can stay here for a while. So I sold a script to that was for NBC. I sold a script to ABC. Neither of them went anywhere. But I was like, this is the land of milk and honey. Like everything I touch turns to gold here. And then I made $0 for about 3 years, but lived off the winnings of the earlier things, and slowly started to like come back. I'd sell a pilot here, and I'd do a little bit on a show there, and I'd do a bit of this, that, and the other. But because of the American system, it just pays way more than here. So if you do a pilot and it doesn't go, that's you set for the year or maybe for 2 years.
Sure.
Provided you're careful. So I did that for a while, and then kind of, slowly but surely met more people, did more things, did more pilots with people that didn't go anywhere, and started to kind of make a little bit of a name for myself. And then, got very lucky and scored a couple of like really solid gigs. I got a job writing on Mythic Quest, as I explained earlier, and that's been 3 years. We've got another couple of seasons of that, which hopefully I'll continue to write on. I got cast on this show, American Auto, on NBC. So I've been doing that, and then this insane football business, which has come very out of left field.
Because it's a big move, and some people try to do that move and it doesn't come off, and some people, a lot of black actors and comedians who can't get work in the UK,
like London Hughes, for example,
go and then become huge,
really well.
become huge stars where it seems more a fairer system, or a system that is more geared towards diversity, I suppose.
I think. I mean, listen, it's not really. I'm now been away from here for so long that I don't know exactly what the state of play is right now. But I do think that over there was a little bit more of a sense of they like new faces. They want to start. They like having a star. So the show I'm on, American Auto, our lead is a woman called Anna Gasteyer, who's a brilliant Saturday Night Live veteran, and she's incredible and very talented. And they were like, right, she's in position. Now the rest of the cast could be whoever we think's best for the role. And the thing I found very difficult over here was initially, as I said, I still make that joke about David Mitchell, but it was that period, it was just always the same people being cast in the same things, and no one else would kind of get a look in. Or you'd be man who gets headbutted in the testicles if you're tall enough. I found it more and more difficult. But I went over there and suddenly, well, I'll say this also, there were a lot of affable, posh twits actors over here, and I went there and there were way less of them. So the first few castings I go into, everyone would be like a lantern-jawed American beefcake, and then I'd be in there like, hi, and sometimes I would audition for things and they'd be like, absolutely not, but this is interesting, this is different to what we're used to seeing. So then I get called back in, they'd think of things for other things, and I think here they were like, well, why would we have him when we could have Eddie Redmayne or Tom Sturton or any number of like other actually good actors. Yeah.
And you're settled in America now, right? So you're married to an American.
I am, yes, yeah. I've been there for 10 years.
Fantastic writer, Megan Gant.
Yes, yeah. Vastly more talented and capable and everything than me. I sort of trapped her very successfully. We've been married for 7.5 years or something now, and we've worked together for the last few years. She's my boss. We drive into work, and then she's my boss. Right. And then we come home, and that's when she's my boss. So the system works very well. It's been amazing. I've been incredibly fortunate for the last 7 years, to the degree that every now and then I'm like, is this a simulation? Am I dead? Did I die? Is something happening? Am I being experimented on currently by aliens? Have I just been unconscious for a fraction of a millisecond, but 7 years have passed in my mind?
Yeah, and we all feel like that.
Yeah.
I'm the same with doing this podcast.
I can well believe it.
Look, you are a posh boy. You're
I'm very posh boy,
and
yeah.
You seem like a nice posh boy. You went to a school where quite a lot of people
churn out some real villains.
There are some nice people came out. You and George Orwell are quite nice. Who came
Me
from
and
that
Big
school.
Orwee, yes, yeah. I would say, funny enough, I don't want to. Richard, I've cheated on you. I did another podcast this afternoon.
Oh my goodness.
I did a football podcast, which also had another Aldertonian on it. And we did that thing that lots of Aldertonians do when they meet each other, where you have this sort of hangdog thing like, oh, God, that's pretty, we're responsible for some bad things, aren't we? Most of the people I went to school with, truly, I'd say out of, I had 256 boys in my year. I'm going to say 220 of them, lovely, nice people. The other 36... the worst people on the face of the planet. And unfortunately, they're the ones that tend to sort of, part of their worstness is their thirst to thrust themselves into everyone else's business and ruin it for them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I completely understand why people don't like Aldertonians. It's something that, again, coming into Wrexham, which is, a town that is traditionally very, very red town. What was a red wall constituency. I was sort of slightly nervous that people would hold that against me to a certain degree. But I think the thing that I got away with very early on was that people understood it very quickly that I was like, I really cared and that I loved the football team and that I live and die sort of by our results and things. And they were like, oh, okay, well, that's a common ground that we can all get behind. Less into my swan eating and all the other posh stuff I do. That I just can't kick the habit. Once you've had a swan, it's delicious.
Understandable.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, with public school, it's not a choice that you yourself make, right? You're sent to public school when you're a child. It's not something you have decided to do.
Yeah.
So that's weird. And do you think? Did you board it? Were you
did.
board?
Yeah, I boarded from 7 to 18. I went a year early.
Right.
So I went to Ludgrove before Eton, which is another exceedingly posh school. Where I shared a bedroom with Prince William. It's pretty posh.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I had a great time. I mean, I was my only sort of sphere of understanding was just I was like, this is what everyone does, isn't it? They get sort of dispatched by their parents to sleep in a dormitory with other small boys.
Right.
And I was very lucky. I liked playing football. I liked messing around, like pretending to be a dinosaur with my friend Richard Knight, and the whole thing was great fun for me. But I was also lucky because I was enormous from the jump. So by the time I got to Eton, I was 6 foot when I was 13. So by the time I got to secondary school, I was a big lump, and that also probably afforded me more protection than it probably should have done.
Right.
Because I was a big lump who would pass out if he stood up too quickly. But the baddies didn't know that. They were unaware of that.
And you don't feel that, because, I wonder for some of those public school boys who've gone on to become horrible cunts.
Yeah.
Do you think that being sort of sent away at the age of 7, do you think it...
I'm sure me being sent away at the age of 7 has done all sorts of terrible things to my psyche and to all sorts of elements of my personality. I think that so much more of it comes from parents, arguably, because a lot of the time we had at school at Eton, the thing I've always said about going to public school, and the best thing about public school is it gives you the thing they give you that's worth all the money is the confidence. Yeah. They teach you all the time you can be whatever you put your mind to. And they don't say that, they just you're never discouraged from thinking you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. And that's the thing. When I got to university and I started to meet lots more people who come from other places who were much cleverer than me and much more driven and much more all sorts of things, the thing that I had that was an advantage was I was very confident. So I would be in my history, we'd do our I'm forgetting all the, like our tutor, I think they were called our tutors. I think they were called tutors. You have a smaller group. I did history, and then you get condensed down to a smaller group, and you'd be assigned to a professor who you would discuss, whatever it may be. I was always very comfortable and confident at giving my opinions on the invasion of Crete and whether it was a strategic masterstroke or a failure or whatever, and that would be based off me having read one of the books, and I would see there'd be other people in the room who'd just be like, please don't ask me any questions, and I'd be like, I know you've done the reading, I see your essays are better than mine, you're all those things, but here I am happy to fart on. Now that's a very good thing in some respects, but it does also sporadically lead to prime ministers. Of varying different types and tropes, and that confidence. So yes, I know, I understand, I can do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And confidence is a brilliant thing in life, provided it's not completely misplaced. And ironically, the people with the most misplaced confidence are the most confident of all of them. And they are the ones who are like, yes, I should be in charge. I should run this. I've never wanted to be in charge of anything. Hence why I'm not actually in charge of football. I know. Well, no. I mean, I aid and abet in the in-chargement of a football team.
I bet all the chief executives of National League football teams have went to Eton. I bet you
they're all Oldetonians and they're all actors. Yes, yeah. So McNulty, the guy Dominic, whatever his name is from The Wire. Yeah. Dominic West, thank you from The Wire. Yes, he runs Maidstone, Maidstone United. Yeah, it's just all Oldetonian actors throughout the National League.
Do you feel upset that you are not the Earl of Suffolk, though, because your great-great-granddad, was it? Or
yes.
Was it further than
that?
Yeah,
my grandmother's
Henry Howard.
dad.
He's got a Wikipedia entry. My great-great-granddad isn't on Wikipedia.
That we know of.
No, I don't. Well, that's true. Maybe.
Jack the Ripper?
Yeah,
could be. Could be. No one ever quite worked out who that was. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No. I mean, my grandmother. Yes, her dad was the Earl of Suffolk. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm a fancy boy. Yeah. I'm a real fancy boy. I think there was like on my family's side. Well, get this. Here's me burnishing my liberal credentials. Sort of. Very sort of. I think a great-great-grandfather or something like that who was ennobled in sort of the 18-somethings, and then he handed it back because he wanted home rule for the Irish. He was pro-Irish independence, which was not very fashionable at the time. So I think we'll all agree I'm a real hero. I'm descended from heroes of the people. Yeah, I know. I mean, there's no hiding it. I am extremely posh.
Yeah, it's cool, but it's but it's like so's Danny Dyer. Danny Dyer is related to
yes, right,
William the Conqueror. So you and
we're
him
cut
are the
from
same.
very similar cloth. Yeah, me and Danny.
I mean, if you did go on, if you went on Who Do You Think You Are, we'd get back to royalty.
Do you know what? It'd be really boring because we've got so many records of the family back to like 1066. Yeah. They'd just be like, oh, I can tell you all that. The one story that I always enjoyed when I was a kid was that. My family, some again, great, whatever. So my family are Protestants who were sent to Ireland to like fight Catholics in the 1530s. That was where they kind of started out, and then 200 odd years later, 270 or 60 odd years later, you had the 1798 rebellion, where my family were on the side of the crown, and the Jervis Ker, who's some long distant relative, was a proper villain and like a baddie, and he killed lots of people in nasty ways. And Mel Gibson's production company wanted to make a movie about it and contacted my dad and was like, can we buy his rights? And he's going to be like the bad guy from our Irish Braveheart film. Right. Which was like something where you're like, well, you've got to be a real shithead if A, you get that call up, and B, nasty anti-Semite Mel Gibson is able to present himself as the better version of you. Yeah. And he hanged a spy who was like a 13-year-old boy, and the boy's mother cursed him and said, I put a curse on your house and your family. The taller they get, the poorer they'll get. Right. And I'm probably the poorest member of my family. Wow. So, yeah, there you go.
And imagine the future generations, how tall they're going to be.
Well, I'm not having kids, but if I did, they'd be fucking enormous and very poor. Yeah.
You're a quarter inch off being a giant.
Yes, historically that has always been my belief, but I've recently keep bumping into people who say they're 6'7" and I'm taller than them. Yeah. So I've always been 6'7" and 3/4, and 6'8" is a giant, but I think I might be 6'8" in a bit. It's been a long time. Every time I go to the doctor, they try and measure me, and I go off the end of the thing, so they don't have a.
I go off the other end. That's
you can't get on this ride. Yeah,
there isn't a ruler short enough to measure me. It's a strange. I was doing this thing with Richard Osman at the weekend. I've interviewed a few times, but I was sort of standing, waiting to go on, and I was in front of him, and I just saw the reflection of us in the mirror. It's like we're like two different species, not even the same species.
And he's a big lad as well. Like he's broad as well. He's got a very broad chest and big shoulders, and he is tall. But yes, it's it's the glorious wonder of life. We're all different, all different shapes and sizes.
I guess what do you think? Do you think it's an advantage in an evolutionary terms to be tall or small? I guess if the sky falls down a long way, You'll
be safer for a bit longer. Yeah. I mean, listen. As I said, I was a 12-pound 5-ounce baby, so I was a massive baby and just a few sighs of horror from various women in the crowd. Yeah. I mean, I blasted out of there like a real monster horror show, and just bad news all around for my mum. I'm afraid. God bless her. So yes, I was always very tall, and it's always been a pain in the arse. I mean, it was like a pain in the arse at school. I always got in trouble whenever there was a collective, when we were caught playing cricket indoors or football indoors or doing whatever infraction. I was always the one that got shouted at, because in the same way that whenever I go paintballing, I always get killed immediately. Everybody's like, well, I can hit him. I'll shoot at him. So that's a pain. Buying clothes is a nightmare. Fitting on airplanes and trains and, just in seats in general. Actually, this is a great seat. I'm finding this very comfortable. Good. But normally, if I'm in the audience, it's really uncomfortable, because it comes, like the back of the seat comes up to like halfway through my back, and then I slouch down, and then my like spine. I mean, I've got back problems. Richard, my life is a living nightmare. Yeah. I live in hell. I'm in hell right now because of my sizable frame.
I've never been happier to be small, though my back also hurts, so maybe that's not the answer. Yeah. Tell me about being on Curb Your Enthusiasm. That must have been exciting.
Well, do you know, it sucked.
It is.
I'm going to be completely frank. Not because of anyone that did anything there, but I was so excited. I got the call, literally like, hey, will you come and be on Curb Your Enthusiasm in like 2 days' time? And I was like, yes, you bet I will. Like, I can't wait. That's so exciting. And it was an episode where Tom Hanks' son, not Colin, but Chet Hayes, the other one, who's kind of weird. It was an episode where it was a really funny idea, and it was a great episode, where he takes Larry to a American War of Independence reenactment thing. It's like very against his character. He's like a bad white rapper. In real life, Chet Hayes. And the idea was it's him, and it was like, isn't it funny that this guy who's a bad white rapper also loves doing historical reenactment? And I got hired to play, the idea was that we were going to have a scene where I'm playing a British reenactor, and I shoot Larry with my pretend gun, and he refuses to die because it's too early on in the day. Yeah. And he's like, whoa, am I going to lie on the floor here all day? Like, no way, I'm not doing this, And it was like, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to do a scene with Larry David. But the nature of that thing is there isn't a script, really. It's just like, this is what's going to happen. And were doing this huge sequence. We were outside, and there were air cannons going off, like blowing earth. I mean, it was a whole thing. And normally all their scenes are in a restaurant or a hotel or a very simple thing. And they just lost control of the day, which is the thing that happens all the time when you're making TV. They're just getting behind. And so I got there at sort of 4:30 in the morning into Huntington Beach, got in my gear, was all very excited. And about 4 p.m., a sort of assistant director was like, we're not going to do your scene. It's not going to be in the show anymore. And I was like, oh. And they're like, but we keep seeing you in the background of shots, and you're like enormous. So could you just stay here for the rest of the day? No. So I then was like, oh, I'm an extra. I'm now an extra on this, which is nothing wrong with being an extra. It's an excellent use of people's time. But I had the carrot dangled of like, well, this is going to be an amazing experience. And it just sort of wasn't great. So that was my Curb Your Enthusiasm experience.
That could be an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. That's
right. Yes. Yeah, it has elements of that. It definitely has elements. The irony trapped in the loop. But yes, I mean, it was exciting. He was incredibly nice. Everyone was very nice. Everyone was very friendly. But it was just one of those things where I was like, oh, I got this close. You know? But anyway.
I was following you on Twitter over the weekend. I mean, this story of you coming to flying over to try and catch.
Yes, Blythe Spartans
versus Wrexham.
Yes. FA Cup fourth qualifying round game up in Newcastle.
It was quite a journey getting here.
It sure was. Yeah, I left work on Thursday night. Was filming on Thursday and got home about 6, 7 o'clock and quickly packed all my stuff up and got to the airport 7 a.m. on Friday. Had this whole thing worked out. I was going to fly LA to Chicago, Chicago to London, London to Newcastle. Get to Newcastle about 9:20 in the morning and make it to the game, which is a 1 p.m. kickoff, because it had been moved to 1 p.m. to be on ESPN in America, which is absurd. But God bless them for doing it. Got to Chicago, discovered that my plane was delayed by 4 or 5 hours, never going to make my connection, switched to another plane. Part of my move meant that I went from an emergency exit legroom seat to a middle aisle seat, which is a living hell for me. But I got up and wandered around and got through it. But that flight was also delayed. So I got to London I landed 5 minutes after my flight had taken off to go to Newcastle. So I abandoned my suitcase and got myself to King's Cross and got on a 10 a.m. train from King's Cross to Newcastle and got there about 20 minutes into the first half. Smelling like an old donkey and just so jet-lagged and out of it that we scored about halfway through the second half, and they scored in the 90th minute, and I was like, "What's all right? There's like 20 minutes left," and they were like, "What? It's the 90th minute?" I was like, oh no. And then the referee blew his whistle. It's like, oh God, I don't know what's happening or where I am.
And you travelled all that way.
I travelled that way to see a 1-1 draw away at Blythe, yeah. But very selfishly, everyone at the club, obviously, when things like that happen, for us, it's a giant pain in the arse because you're suddenly like, oh no, we've now got to stage a game at last minute's notice. We've got a game on Tuesday night, we've got one tomorrow night. Got this whole thing going on. But me, secretly, I was like, I get an extra game of football to watch while I'm in town. Because I'm not having to find all the security guys to staff the stadium.
I was most impressed by you leaving your suitcase behind. I didn't know you could even do that.
It turns out you can. Again, confidence. You're just very confident about things. Like, well, this will be here when I come back. Yes, I was like, well, I knew I wouldn't have enough time, given that I was literally like, every minute counts at this moment in time. I was like, I can't go to the luggage thing and be like, I know you're going to put that on a plane to Newcastle. Can you take it off that plane to Newcastle and give it to me? I was like, that'll take an hour. Yeah. So I was like, well, I'll just go, and then I'll contact BA from the train and be like, this is what the situation. Can I get my thing back? And then I was reunited with it. This was Saturday. I was reunited with it about 2 hours ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I went to Uniqlo, bought a lot of cheap pants, and just sort of shuffled around London, being a bit disgusting for 3 days. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's the dedication of a football fan and a football executive.
Well, that's, as I say, it's such a massive, still remains a crazy, weird, wonderful privilege and honour to do this. So I'm like, if I get a chance, I'm like, I'm going to bust my hump to try and get there.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to ask you some emergency questions.
Please.
Let's see what we get to. Have you ever seen a ghost? Because you're posh. So you probably have seen the ghosts of all your ancestors.
I spend a disproportionate amount of time in castles. Yeah. Yes, the famous abode of ghosts. I was absolutely convinced I saw one when I was little.
Right.
And this is a good spooky thing. So I was staying in a big posh house, and this is where it all began. Was that I was like, it's so big and drafty. But I was staying in a bedroom there. And there was a fox's head on the wall. Yeah. So this is a spooky environment to be 9 years old in, or 10 years old, or whatever it was. And I, was like, I'm not putting out the light, I'm going to continue reading, whatever Wilbur Smith book I was reading at the time. And at a certain point, I was like, it's looking at me. It wasn't looking at me. It was facing that way. And then it's turned. Not very good for the podcast audience. It was great for the people who were here. They loved that bit of stagecraft. I was convinced that, while I was reading the book, that it had slowly turned and was looking at me. And I was absolutely, I was like pinned to the bed. I was so convinced and terrified that's what had happened. And I scuttled through into my parents' bedroom and was like, Fox looked at me and it's definitely a ghost. So I was absolutely sure of that. And then as years went by, I was like, I think it was facing towards me the whole time. I made that whole thing up in my head. So I don't think I have seen a ghost.
I think that's the most likely explanation, but...
I think when Occam's razor tells us that the fox was definitely pointed at my bed and I hadn't really taken it in.
Or maybe you just moved your bed around without you...
That is also possible. Yeah.
I've been so... Or maybe the bed was the ghost.
Oh, whoa. The bed was the ghost all the time. That's a great twist. Can we make that short film? We do very well.
I was talking to Stephen Mangan on my book club podcast about animals' heads on walls, and it's a really fucking strange thing. Why do posh people like putting... It's the sort of thing a serial killer would do, right?
Yes.
Like with their... because most serial killers start off torturing and killing animals.
Sure.
And then going, here's all the animals that I've tortured and killed. Sure. And I went to Brodick Castle on the Isle of Arran on my holiday in Scotland. And it's a horrible castle. It's full of quite racist stuff as well. Oh, boy. Yeah. Which they've said, we're leaving this up as historical accuracy. Yeah. And because we're also racist now.
Sure.
But there's no need. Don't put it up. It's horrible. Don't take it. We don't need this.
Yes, I don't, just to be controversial at the end, I don't kind of take much... I don't really brook that whole argument. No. So just get rid of it and tell people, they used to be racist is bad. Anyway.
Not worse, but it's this whole hallway with about 300 stags' heads. So many stags' heads.
Right.
And it's just, it's obviously because hunting's a big thing.
Yeah, listen, I grew up in that world, but it wasn't for me. And that was one of the things that I discovered as I sort of, got slightly more confident in myself and my things. I was like, oh, I'm not into this. And actually that's, I think, a big part of where my love for football came from, because that was on Saturdays, and Saturdays is often when all that stuff goes on.
Right.
And I'd be like, oh, yeah, I'd love to go and strangle a badger, but I got to play football. Like, oh, next time, don't leave me off that list. I'll come next time. And so I think that was why Saturdays started to get a very football focus for me.
And you've been warned off by that fox as well, haven't you?
I had also, he had stared in my eyes and was like, kill you or killing me. I was like, oh, no. Yes, yeah. But then, ironically, I ended up with a footballer's head on my wall. Yes, I killed and mounted Michael Owen on my bedroom wall. Yeah.
Good. What is the worst cheese that you'd still be prepared to eat?
Oh, I hate to swear, fucking anything.
Yeah.
I love cheese. I mean, I know that. Obviously, the sensible thing to say is like Kraft cheese slices, but then you get them on a cheeseburger, and it's incredible.
Yeah,
like it's the best of the cheeseburger cheeses.
That's true.
I don't care for when you go somewhere and they're like, we've got a Roquefort cheeseburger. I'm like, no, put that on the side. I like that on the side. I don't want it interfering with my beef. So I love all cheese. That's not true. I don't like blue cheese, but I love all other cheeses. Okay. Yeah.
Do you eat the rinds of cheese as well as the cheese? Yeah, me too.
Yes.
A lot of people don't eat the rinds though, right?
Yeah, lots. Yeah, I didn't for a long time, and then one time I did, and was like, I've been missing out on a whole glorious.
It's the best bit.
Yes.
The most disgusting bit is the best bit.
Yes, like so many things in life.
I mean, it's like eating, your own skin or something, which is the best thing you can do, right? It's like eating the skin of a gnarled dead woman. That's why I like it.
Yeah. It's like, when a corpse washes up on the beach after a disaster, and it's like when you eat that, love it.
It's just, there's something to chew on.
Oh, yeah. It's something to think about.
It's really been used.
Gives you some thoughts. Yeah. You're like, this cheese has suffered, and that makes it more fun. Yeah.
Look.
No, I get it.
Good, I'm glad you get it. Going to consider what I ask you next. This is out of interest because you're posh and you're tall, and I don't know whether posh tall people do this. Have you ever tried to suck your own cock?
I must have done. Let's be honest.
Of applause.
Yes, but someone about that. I think that's again Andy, the Wrexham fan. Is like, we need to get to the bottom of this. Like, if this fella's in charge of our club, I want to know. Have I ever tried? I mean, listen, I must have done it. I'm incredibly inflexible, and I got very inflexible very early on. So I know that I would have been thwarted at that at any point.
I mean, you maybe just thought there's no point. I definitely can't.
Look, to be honest, it's so readily available to me from other people. No, I'm joking.
When you're posh, you've just got people to suck it anyway, right? It's for you.
When you're this tall, that's what really does it, because it's just ease of access. No. I mean, as I say, I'll be honest. I think I must have tried, because hasn't everyone sort of tried? But no, I couldn't reach it. It's too far away.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
It's always a sad thing when that
real blow
when that happens. Do you think your obituary photo has already been taken?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Because I think it's only going to get worse from here.
Do you not think your greatest successes are ahead? There'll be something that'll be a role that you're best known for, maybe Wrexham executive.
Well, this is the thing. If it depends on what the headline is. If it's like disgraced former football executive, then I sort of hope the photo's already been taken. If it's, I don't know. I mean, yes. Listen, that would be, holding some silverware would be very nice. I would take that. Yeah. I don't think I've got anything else. I've got my Perspex Dave Comedy Award photo. But no, yes, all right. I'll say I hope it hasn't been taken yet, because that means there's good times to come.
And do you think this? I mean, I really recommend the Wrexham show. But do you think even if the show doesn't go on, how long do you think this experiment or this project, maybe we should call it rather than experiment?
Yes, well, I mean, we had the last board meeting we had, which was in LA in August. Ryan said he wants to be doing this when he's 70, and so provided they'll keep me, I hope I'll still be doing it when I'm sort of 70. Well, actually, by the time I'm 70, I definitely don't want to be flying back and forth. I don't want to fly to Blythe on a centre aisle seat when I'm 70. So maybe, but I mean, as long as the town and the fans will still have us, and as long as they still want to do it. The best thing, we talked briefly beforehand, the best thing in the documentary for me, the moment that I enjoy the most, is the moment you literally see the moment when Ryan gets the bug, we scored. We played Stockport County in a FA Trophy semi-final. Who were at the time we were sort of we were trying to chase down in the league, and there was a real intense rivalry. They came to us, and we had it was 0-0, and in the 91st minute, Paul Mullin, who's sort of our star player, scored the goal of the season for us. This incredible sort of chip from like deep far outside the box, and won the game. And Ryan lost his mind, and I think that was the moment where he suddenly realised that it'd always been a thing that he was into and he was excited about, but it was sort of a cerebral exercise, and that's when it became like a thing that was, oh no, I've caught the bug and I care about it. And now like he's obsessed.
Yeah.
Obsessed. And so that's kind of an exciting, you just see that very often on documentaries, someone making that transition.
Sure. And it's very artfully done, and whoever the team are following the inhabitants of Wrexham, and the players and their families, and there's some sad stories, and there's a guy who's been involved in football hooliganism who seems like an okay-ish kind of guy, and he's but he's upset that he loves he's sad that his stupid behaviour has meant that he can't go to the games. But it's sort of fascinating to see that rather than just sure, and just like the way that would be dramatised. It's a real person. With torn emotions and
the whole show is this weird sort of juxtaposition between these two people that lead these wild lives in Hollywood, and then a town of very normal people that are united by one thing, which is that they just love the football club.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. And if you are a billionaire, be like Ebenezer Scrooge and change your ways and spend some money on other people, because it'll make you happy.
They love it. They love every second of this. And it's like, I refuse to believe that Jeff Bezos loves flying around in his stupid proto spaceship as much as they enjoy doing this.
Did you see William Shatner talking about him going into space? It's kind of made him quite depressed.
Yes.
Which was quite interesting, because they were all coming out going, whoa, we've done it. He'd been into space, and then it's made him aware of I can't quite remember exactly what he said.
It's like how tiny we are in the universe.
Yeah, but he's sort of come down feeling.
Yeah, I sort of get that.
Yeah,
I do get that. We beat Stockport 3-0 in the league. Yeah. After that, it was incredible. Then the next day, it's like, got to do it all again on Saturday. Like, can we do that? So me and William Shatner are very similar figures in that regard. Have a lot of shared DNA. No, I mean, I think. I don't know. It's just again, similarly. If I won the Euro Millions, I would do the exact same thing all over again, somewhere else. Sorry, I'm out. I'll get my own club, and I beat Wrexham. No, I wouldn't. But I can't recommend it more highly. I'm sure you have many billionaires that listen to this show.
They do.
Yeah.
Give us some money.
Yes, or maybe invest in a podcast.
Yeah.
Put a lot of money into a popular podcast.
Can you give me millions of pounds?
Get it, buylog.tv, it's available.
I'll buy the theatre.
Yes.
I'll change everything and get it loads of lights and stuff here. And dancing girls and men and robots.
Okay, yes.
And, I'll get a machine where I can suck my own cock, and I'll be happy.
It does all sound like it's for your benefit rather than... You're not like, I'm going to make the seats more comfortable.
It will help the community, because they can watch me...
They can watch you fillet yourself.
having sex with them.
The thing they've all wanted.
Yeah. It'll be that's been the narrative flow of this podcast. That's what they're waiting for.
It's all been building to that moment.
And then once I've done that, I can move on and go away. Look, I really appreciate you coming on. I'm delighted everything's going so well for you.
Thank you.
Please thank your wife for her fantastic writing, especially on Community, which I wouldn't be able to get beyond that if I was married to somebody who'd written for Community.
Listen, I first saw Megan in the distance at a Paley Fest event for Community and was so excited because I followed her on Twitter and I was a huge fan of her work. I was like, whoa, they made her stand up because she had written, they were talking about one of the episodes she'd written, I think Cooperative Calligraphy or one, I can't remember which one it was. And she stood up and I was like, oh my God, that's Megan Gantz. It's really, really exciting. So when we first went out on a date, I waited 2 dates before I was like, I've followed you on Twitter forever, I think you're brilliant. And by that stage, fortunately, she had already sort of bought into the whole thing.
Yeah.
But yes, I will thank her. I'll tell her.
But it's really amazing. You know, it's great to see. It's not amazing because you were always so talented anyway. But it's such an interesting story for you to go there and be a big success in America, and then come back and be a big success in Wrexham.
I've graced the Leicester Square Theatre stage. I mean, what? I'm just a man of the people.
There's nothing left for you, Humphrey.
But I loved. I mean, I've thoroughly enjoyed coming back tonight because it's so fun being back here. I remember many times lurking in that room, being like, God, I hope people like Victorian themed sketches that we're about to churn out to a big audience. They sometimes did. But yes, it's very fun to be here. Thank you.
And why do you pronounce your name wrong? That's what the last question I would ask you.
Well, just unbelievable stubbornness. Again, that confidence you get taught at a posh school where K-E-R, K-E-R-R, C-A-R-R, they're all from the same sort of clan in lowland Scotland. So we got taken from there. Protestant Scottish people got sent to Ireland to fight Catholics. And as they all moved into different areas, there wasn't a settled spelling of it. So all those names are theoretically supposedly pronounced Carr or Care. But like Deborah Carr, K-E-R-R. Yeah. But no, it's wrong, but and by the way, apart from like when I'm being professionally introduced or something, I usually just say Kerr, like whenever I go, like, when my suitcase was when I was trying to get my suitcase back from BA, it was like, it says Kerr on it, K-E-R. And then quite often people add an R.
Yeah.
If I fill out a form, I give it to them and they go like, oh, and they put an R. And I'm like, hey, sorry, it's only one. So like, yeah, I do know how to spell my own name. I promise. But yes, it's dumb. Yeah. I was thinking about changing it professionally at the start of things and going for some sort of stage name type thing that was less daft.
Would you stick with Humphrey if you were?
I was thinking about David Rivers because David is actually my first name.
Okay.
But my dad is also David.
Okay.
And the tradition in the family is you go by your second name. So I'm David Humphrey Rivers Carr is my full name. Right. So I was like, David Rivers. That's pretty cool.
Nice.
It's pretty cool. But then for whatever reason, I just sort of never got around to it. It's just too weird because then I tried it at times in my life. I've tried to go by David. And then people would say, hey, David. And I go, huh? And that didn't work. It was very helpful.
Are you too young to remember the advert for Watch Out? There's a Humphrey about.
I heard about it loosely when I was younger. Okay. Here's the thing. Okay, so this is a crazy thing, and I'm wondering how best to address this because it involves. So you know how young people sometimes have sort of, particularly obviously young black people have reclaimed the N-word as a term of sort of endearment, sort of term of sense of self and sense of community. There is a meme online which is, I can't believe there are N-words out here called Humphrey.
Right.
That's the thing that people, it's a big meme. Oh, I get sent it all the time by like random people. And I get tagged into stuff. So I'm constantly being tagged into posts that have the N-word in them. Okay. And I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't be here. Like, I know this is to make fun of me, but like, I don't want to be here. Yeah. So that's a weird new thing. And like, I'll go through phases where just suddenly I'll be like, I've got 55 Instagram notifications. Like, what is this? And then it's like, oh boy, this meme has like resurfaced. Okay,
I'll send you the Watch Out. There's a Humphrey about one.
That sounds much safer and nicer. Yes, I prefer that.
I was very little, so you were definitely not born then. Yeah, I would have thought that wiped out Humphrey as a name, to be honest. But
right. Well, I was named Humphrey after my parents had some friends who had a dog called Humphrey, and they liked it. But it also Humphrey means gentle giant, and I was a gigantic baby, so they were like, all right. This makes sense. It all fit together.
Good. Well, I'm going to call you Humphrey Ker.
Whoa.
And I'd like to...
Act of real aggression right at the end of this. I thought we'd had a nice time.
You better like it. Ladies and gentlemen, please, with a massive round of applause for Humphrey Ker. Humphrey. David Rivers.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You have been listening to RHLSTP with me, Richard Herring, and my guest, Humphrey Ker. Thank you to Scant Regard for playing some music during this bit. I'm indebted to my producer, Ben Walker. I thank you very much also to Chris Evans, not that one, or that one. Thank you to everyone at the Leicester Square Theatre and to my mum and dad, Barbara and Keith Herring, for having me and bringing me up quite nicely. This is a Sky Potato Fuzz on GoFasterStripe.com production. Head to GoFasterStripe.com. You can buy downloads of my shows and all my books.